Welcome, dear viewers, to Diabetes Hope Channel, the channel where we educate you, motivate you, and encourage you to control your diabetes and probably reverse it. This is the place where you find hope. I am your co-host, Nyambura Madenge, and our host is
Wanjiko Dongo.
Welcome, Wanjiko Ndongo, to the channel.
Thank you, Sarah.
You're welcome.
And welcome our viewers.
Yes.
Always so nice to have you around.
Sure.
Yes.
Good. So, Mwalimu, what do you have for us today?
Today, dear viewers, we want to discuss two most powerful strategies that have been used over the ages to deal with chronic diseases and to reverse them.
Two most powerful.
Absolutely. Extremely powerful strategies.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, we want to know them. Dear viewers, I want to know them. What about you?
I am sure our viewers are very eager.
Good.
In the course of my study, I came across a study that was entitled The Great American Experiment.
Okay.
And it is from a book called Goldot. And it is by Lewis and Junko. And from this experiment, I learned about the two most powerful strategies.
Okay.
And these strategies have been used over the ages to deal with chronic diseases and to reverse them.
Really?
I knew for a fact.
Wow.
I want my viewers to hear this because they too will find it very, very interesting as I did.
Okay.
Now, this is an experiment that was done on rats.
Okay.
When people do the experiments, it's always so difficult to do on humans.
True.
Because these are experiments that take a long time.
Yeah.
And therefore, most of the time, we use rats. This is an interesting account of a three-part experiment comparing the effects of raw food versus cooked food with rats and the effect of fasting when a poor diet has been used over the years. And you see, Sarah, for us, for many years, we have used a diet that is not right.
True.
And we want to see what happened to these rats. And you'd like to compare that to ourselves. What would happen if the same experiment was done on us? Now, in this experiment, there was part 1, part 2, and part 3.
Wow, I'm waiting to hear.
In part 1, a group of rats were fed on a diet of raw vegetables, fruits, nuts, and whole grain from birth. Now, these rats grew completely healthy and never suffered from any disease.
Really?
They were never ill.
Really?
That was very surprising.
Wow.
Even for me.
Wow.
Now, upon reaching an old age equivalent to 80 years in humans, these rats were put to death. And a post-mortem was done on them. Now, at that advanced age, their organs, their glands, their tissues, and all body processes appeared to be in perfect condition.
Wow.
Without any sign of aging or deterioration.
What?
Imagine.
Wow.
Equivalent of 80 years
into
humans. And they were perfect.
Wow.
They didn't have a problem. That was part 1. Now, let's look at part 2. In part 2 of their experiment, the group of rats was fed the standard American diet. We usually call it the SAD diet. Now, this diet is something very close to what we are used to. The rats were given white bread.
Okay.
They were given cooked food. They were given meat. They were given milk.
Wow.
They were given sodas. They were given cakes. They were even given vitamins and supplements. And of course, they became ill. And for their ailments, they were given a lot of medicines.
Wow.
Now, during their lifetime, these rats became fat, and from the earliest age, they contracted most of the diseases that we also contract. One time they would have colds and fevers. The other times they would have pneumonia. They had cataracts. They had poor vision. They had heart attacks. They had arthritis. They had cancer. They had diabetes. They had high blood pressure. Name it.
Okay.
All these rats had these diseases. And what's more surprising, is that most of these rats in this group, they died prematurely.
Oh no.
And sometimes at very early ages. Does that sound familiar?
Yeah.
It does sound familiar.
It does.
Now, what happened is that even their offsprings were also sick, and they exhibited the very same general characteristics of diseases as their parents.
Maybe because of the genes.
Exactly, but also they ate into the same diet their parents ate.
Yeah.
And what happened is that as these rats died one by one, the guys doing the experiment also did a post-mortem on them. And do you have an idea what they found?
No, but I want to know.
They realized or they found that their bodies had extensive degenerative conditions in every part of their body.
Okay.
These degenerative conditions were in the organs, they were in the glands, and they were also in the tissues. Their skin was affected, their hair, their blood, their nervous system, everywhere. They were all truly total physical and nervous wrecks.
Oh no.
The same conditions existed in the few which survived the duration of the experiment.
Okay.
Yes. That sounds familiar.
Yeah, I know.
That sounds familiar. But anyway, let us see what happened to the third group. Now, in this group, the rats were fed the SAD diet. I'm sure you know what that is now.
The standard American diet.
Exactly.
Okay.
And this was just like the second group.
Okay.
And really what happened is that after 40 years, equivalent to human beings, these rats portrayed exactly the same symptoms like the second group. Now, what this really means is that these rats were sick and they were weak. They developed arthritis, diabetes, cancer, high blood pressure, and all manner of diseases that were in the second group. And at the end of this initial period, that is the 40 years equivalent to man, the diet of these rats was changed. And they introduced two things. They introduced a raw diet, and they introduced fasting. So the rats would only be given food that is uncooked, and they had to go periods and periods of fasting. And you know what happened?
I can almost imagine things changed.
Yes, in the next part of their life, which was another 40 years, these remaining rats lived to the full duration of their experiment.
Ah.
Meaning that within that period of time, none of the rats died.
Ah.
And they were showing no signs of aging.
Ah.
They were showing no deterioration. And there are actually even no diseases that cropped after this. So what this simply means is that they had actually reversed the signs and the symptoms of diseases they had shown before, and they had been restored to excellent health.
Just like the first group.
Just like the first group.
Yeah.
What this means, Sarah, is that we can actually conclude that even sick people may be restored to excellent health if they choose to change their diet, meaning they get into a raw diet and they start fasting. And this is exactly what we are asking our viewers to do. It doesn't matter for how many years they have been sick. That is not important. What is important is that they can start now. They can start today.
True.
They can change their diet, and the diseases that they have can be reversed, and they can be restored into excellent health.
Wow.
Now, if they could do it for us, why not for us?
True.
We can do it ourselves, and we can be restored to excellent health.
True.
Yes.
Good.
And so, Sarah, I believe this is a message of hope.
True.
To us and also to our viewers.
Yes.
We can be restored into excellent health.
True.
Raw food, fasting.
Yes.
And for me, it's goodbye for now until next time.
Thank you very much, Mwalimu, for that lovely lesson. Now, I'm sure our viewers have learned something. If it worked for the rats, how about us? And it's already worked for some of us. We first had in November, we first had the raw food diet challenge. We have testimonies that are documented in our channel. Please watch if you haven't. And also with the fasting. So please feel free to join in the next fasting challenge, or you can do it even by yourself. Just maybe get a few friends and team up for motivation, and then we hope that you will give us a testimony of what happened. And from us, it's thank you very much, goodbye, and God bless you.